What I love about NSA is we really cultivate the idea that your path to success is unique in this industry. Your path is unique, and yours too. You know, it's actually true in any industry, but in ours particularly so. But think of Amazon.com, and then think of Barnes & Noble. Totally different delivery systems, and they're booksellers, aren't they? So when we come in here and we cultivate what our gifts are, we have to remember our paths are going to be unique. It was right after college that I started to tell my friends, you know what? I want to write a book someday. They looked at me a little strangely because I wasn't even an English major, hadn't taken any classwork in communications or speech, and here I'm talking about a book. And in my heart, by the way, it was a significant book. So as my work would evolve, and eventually, as in a sales career, I would find my way to my wellness roots. I became a craniosacral therapist. Does anybody know what that is? All right, Cheryl does. Head, neck, and spine. And all of a sudden, as a hobby that actually became a private practice after 10 years, I realized, I think I've got a book here. I've been helping realize ways to find their calm, find their center and their balance in the midst of obstacles and help overcome them. I think I've got a book here. So at the turn of the 21st century, I started writing, Staying Calm in the Midst of Chaos. That's right, that dream I had as a college student, just fresh out into the career world, was starting to come true. Some things take longer than others, right? We know that. So now I'm writing this book, and the events of September 11th occur simultaneously. As well, I'm in leadership at the San Diego chapter, being exposed to great minds continuously. Actually, after September 11th, all the great speakers had a little extra time on their calendar. They started to come to our meetings. We were able to really network with some of the great talents in our industry. It was exciting. So all of a sudden, I am geared up, I am fired up, I am going to bring a book, Staying Calm in the Midst of Chaos, to a world that's ready to hear this message. And I start out on about a 24-city book and speaking tour. Now, compared to our former speaker, well, here's the thing. After about 24 cities, I awaken going, this is a lot of sacrifice. This is a lot of hours and energy spent, and it can get a little lonely at night in those hotel rooms. And it was right around that time I was self-doubting. Was I really going to be joyful in this profession? That I would wake up in the middle of the night in kind of an awkward position. I was sleeping like this, and all of a sudden I realized, oh my goodness, I've just found a lump in my breast. Now all of a sudden I have a different scenario to address. Instead of grumbling about the next city and how exhausting speaking work is, I've got to go on some pretty serious doctor's appointments to find out exactly what is going on. And then the fateful day arrives that my husband and I are scheduled with the surgeon early on a Monday morning. Here's a little tip. It's never a good sign when they fit you in early on a Monday morning. And there we are, and he looks over my file and he says, well, you have stage 3 breast cancer, infiltrating ductal carcinoma, and you have no option but a complete mastectomy with full courses of chemotherapy and radiation. Kind of looked over at my husband. Boom, he closed the file. Kind of waiting for us to ask the questions now, suddenly. My husband says, wait a minute, doc, maybe couldn't you do a little chemo, shrink it, and do a lumpectomy instead? He opens that folder again and he says, you don't realize this is serious? You should have been on my table 2 years ago. Whoa! At that point I thought, you know what, I think I've had enough of this discussion about my future healing. So we exited the building, and quickly I sent my husband off to work. Obviously, I have some things to think about. And it was at that moment that the things that I would say to my clients as a craniosacral therapist, they came into my mind. And that was this: make surgery your last resort. It could be a permanent solution to a temporary problem. And I felt an innate wisdom that said, it's not time to lose your breast. Quickly in research, I was able to locate a doctor who thought he could reverse this cancer using my own immune system, immunotherapy, with low-dose chemotherapy and radiation. And I thought, since I'm not going to be able to speak, I'd better document my journey. So 9 years ago, reversing stage 3 breast cancer without any surgery, treatable and beatable, was born. I'm gearing up to be back on the platform, right? I mean, I've got new material about staying calm in the midst of chaos and cancer. I'm going to bring my expertise to the world, and all of a sudden, my doctor who had saved my life saw my passion for treatable and beatable and having this treatable and beatable mindset, and he said, you know, would you work with me as a patient advocate and help me educate and empower my patients to get well? Well, now, I want to be a pretty amazing, snazzy pants motivational speaker. I don't know about you. But all of a sudden, when I heard this question, I thought, wait a minute. I feel like I'm being called. I have a question in your area of expertise. Are you doing all that's called of you to do in your area of development and expertise? When people ask for your expertise, do you engage or do you excuse? All of a sudden, I heard myself saying yes. It was a good yes. It was early 2008. I had no idea it was going to happen in our industry, let alone one more time in the world. And it became an extremely rewarding, challenging position in life, because all of a sudden I went from stage side to bedside. And guess what I found out? The lessons are a lot different. And you know, I don't know where the future's leading today. Most of us don't, by the way. But I particularly don't, because now all of a sudden I wanted to spotlight speaker because I'm ready to go out and educate more. But I've been at patient and hospital level taking calls from around the world because I've had the privilege to work at the feet of someone reversing cancer, one of the top experts in the world in immunotherapy. And all I know is this: no matter where I end up, and no matter where you end up, it's the path that we take, ultimately, that will define our lives, and therein, our success. So it's an honor to be with you today. Thank you.